This is an Akashic Records reading, which will help you with your next step. Let's get started. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Carey, and today we're going to be looking at your Akashic Records. Now, this is, of course, a channeled message for this collective, whoever feels drawn to this reading. All of the reading itself will be timestamped below. And when I'm tuning into the Akashic Records for this collective, we're really taking a look at the advice for the next step on your path. And this could be related to different things: business, relationships, spirituality, healing, transformation, manifestation, finance. So stay tuned. And it's so exciting to meet you. If I haven't connected with you before, please be sure to say hello in the comments. I love connecting with my new family of subscribers, so it's good to meet you. So I'm just going to feel into the Akashic Records, and I'm going to open up this space and just see what channels through. Often we connect in with guides, ancestors, ascended masters, archangels, and so anything can really happen. And I'm connecting it with the tarot, so let's see what comes forth. So this is a very interesting dynamic already coming forward, is that we are getting the important message that's coming from the Hermit card. So right now, as we are recording this, this is the Virgo season, although this can be applied to really any time, but Virgo season is the Hermit card. And you'll notice there in his lantern that he is shining the light of the star, which means that he's trying to look clearly at what the next step is for someone, or in this case for you. I do feel like this represents your higher self, your soul, spreading light on those places which maybe that are part of your life that don't fit your life any longer, that maybe you have outgrown. But then we have the Page of Cups here, which is a heart-centered offering or opportunity. Now, this can represent a person. It can represent you. But for me, also, the Page of Cups is, because of the fish and the Page of Cups, to me, that has to do with prosperity and also relationships and connections. So when I'm feeling into this, it really feels as though you're being given a choice of which path you're going to step into. And what I'm hearing is that often the step we need to take isn't always the easiest one, or it presents itself to be a difficult one. And what I'm sensing and hearing is that as you lean into it and really open yourself up, you're going to start to be able to feel, hear, and sense what your inner guidance is giving you. Some of you have felt conflict because on one end you feel loyalty and obligation, I'm hearing, to the things that you have been committed to in your life. This could be responsibilities. This could be relationships, because I do feel relationship energy around this, that it's making your decision a little more complicated. So likely that could be relationships with work, relationships with friends, relationships with relatives, partners, and needing to make some adjustments there in what your decision is because it affects your life. So that would mean if someone isn't supportive of the direction you want to go in, that's going to be something you're probably going to have to start contending with. So what is underneath this? Like, what is happening in your subconscious that's possibly giving you conflict and making you feel a sense of burden? Because that's what I'm feeling. And when I look in the Akashic Records too, and in my private sessions, I'm really able to see energetic patterns of where people are carrying burdens, often from past lives or just commitments and soul agreements that they've made, soul contracts with, that might be outdated and need to be released. So that is something to note. If you have any questions about that, or if that makes sense to you, please feel free to comment. Now, underneath this in your subconscious, this is what I'm getting, the 10 of Wands, which is really the sign of a burden, but also at the end of the finish line for you. But the Judgment card, or the Justice card, and the Justice card is, again, another opportunity for choice. But it also is having you look at things in a clear, concise manner and weighing out your options in more of a logical way, so that you're not as emotionally invested or feeling a sense of, well, I have to do this, so I might as well stick with it. There is a sense underneath here for you that I'm getting, which is that this is the very end of the line with whatever you're doing, that you do have a choice, that you're not obligated. So your next step, it might feel a little ways off to you, but it is coming, and I can feel it and sense it. Now, let's also look what this is in relationship to, because that's something I want to get a sense of, what areas this might come up with. And I'm also feeling really drawn. I'm going to pull one of my oracle decks from Rebecca Campbell and see what comes up there, because I sense that there's some spirituality involved here. Yes. Okay, I'm going to pull that deck while I'm speaking. So right away, I want to let you know you're going to love the cards I just pulled. Okay, so we got the High Priestess, which again, I just heard spiritual, so that makes a lot of sense. But with the Three of Swords, this is always past time energy to me. And remember, I said that this feels like what's lingering around you is possibly past life related, right? In the past, or something from a very in the earlier part of your life, possibly your childhood. So the High Priestess in this case for me is representing your spiritual path, but also your intuition, your intuitive abilities, your psychic abilities, maybe even your healing practice, integrating that into your life, but something is triggering and coming up to the surface. So likely there are subconscious beliefs, there are distractions, there are things that are making something feel heavier than it actually is in reality. And that is because it's based in the past. So the framework of that is still lingering. So that's why it's really helpful when you get an Akashic Records reading, or you learn to access your own Akashic Records. You can start releasing these energies. This can also be done in a few other methods as well. I'll mention too, because I have an Akashic Records workshop that I do regularly, so I'll chat with you about that, so stay tuned to the end. So for me, I feel like who I'm talking to in this collective is likely someone definitely on their spiritual path, and who is feeling as though they want to go in another direction and live more in alignment with their purpose. And what does our purpose mean? How does that transpire? What does it look like? Well, for some of you, this might be an actual vision of doing, say, a business, or doing more of a heart-centered work that you want to do, making changes based upon that revelation. But the shell of the former self, or the former life, or the former patterns, the former soul contract is lingering. It's making you feel like maybe floods of anxiety, feeling triggered, mental blocks, feeling like a lot of scattered thoughts. This is what I'm hearing. So we want to approach that from the perspective of how can we cleanse that? How can we transmute that? Now, what I'm hearing is some of you might even do well with doing journaling and doing shadow work around this, and being able to see where it comes in your space. If you're not able to do this, I did want to let you know I do session work. So I do healing work. I work in the Akashic Records. I work in past life regressionists. So if you're interested in a session, that's available. But also, you can do a meditation going into your Akashic Records. Actually, those are all things, fortunately, that I have here on my channel. So you're welcome to them for free. I have a guidebook there. So those sorts of things are going to be the things that are going to help you move the needle into your next step. And that's what this whole reading is about. And once you do that, what's going to happen is we're going to have transmutation and we're going to have change. Oh, yes. So notice right away, we're getting this information of there will be rapid transformation and change. The Eight of Wands is quick transmutation. The Tower card means we're moving from the top down. So all those things that we've been carrying that are like a burden and heavy and making things challenging and difficult and feeling the obligation will start to release. So you don't have to wear it as a burden anymore. That's really what I'm getting. We start to have transmutation. And then the lovely thing is, like, what's the outcome of this? When we do this type of work for our path, where does that take us? Well, the good news is good places is where it takes us. That's what I'm seeing, because we got the Queen of Wands here with the Knight of Swords. So Knight of Swords is all action. This is a masculine energy. He goes in and he is on the move. He's wanting to attack the problem. But the nice thing is the Queen of Wands is saying, let's temper that, and also let me use that forceful energy in order to get to where I want to go. You know, the Queen of Wands is freedom-based. She's Leo energy, right? Also could be Sagittarius or Aries, which fire signs and that energy, wherever it's placed in your astrological chart, that's going to give you a sense of expansion and freedom. Fire signs tend to be very based in freedom. So that means likely someone who's independent, who can be a self-starter, somebody that really is an entrepreneur or guided by their own desires and passion. And this is something that's really important for a lot of you who are wondering about your next step, possibly have never been self-employed, possibly don't know the first steps. And I'll let you know, stay tuned on this channel. I think after this reading, I think I'm going to actually do a spiritual business reading for this collective. So we'll see what information that brings. You're going to want to stay tuned for that reading. And I'm also hearing you do need to give yourself a break. That's what Spirit's saying. I can hear that in my ear. Make sure you're giving yourself time for integration. Okay, I'm hearing wellness. So if you're able to do even like taking a long, nice cleansing bath, like a spiritual bath, or possibly getting a massage, something you can do, spending time out in nature, connecting, just aerating this energy. Okay, let's see. What else do you want to let us know? And then we're going to go to the other oracle deck. What do we have here for you? Also, I'm really getting some of your spirit guides are hollering at you guys. This is interesting. So I'm literally hearing, as you can tell, I hear spirit. It's one of my abilities that they give it to me in an auditory level. I can literally hear them shouting, going, we're trying to get their attention. Now, learning to connect with your spirit guides, I know for a lot of people it takes time. And so I will say, if this is something you're interested, please stay tuned on the channel. I do a lot of, videos around this. I have videos connected already here. We work on this during my live streams on Fridays. So stay tuned. But so what that's going to mean is that as you're aligning more with your guides and you're listening to spirit and you're able to tune in and you're clearing out these energies, your next steps, as we said this is about, it'll be much clearer for you. It's not going to be as muddled. It will be more forthcoming and easier for you to be able to tend to, hear, sense, feel, see, and then know the next steps. And this is where we're getting completion. I have to cover with the World card, and then with the Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups, I believe, is a highly intuitive energy, a person who is very in touch with their emotions. Obviously they're an empath, but they also cherish their connection with spirit, and also their connection with those that they care about and the things they care about. So this is likely like you're going to be able to move all this baggage off of you and move it out of your aura so you can get to what is most important to you, the things you really care about, and show up the way you want to show up. I'm going to move into doing the oracle now. And again, this is the Starseed Oracle by Rebecca Campbell. Lovely deck, really good if you're on your spiritual path and wanting to get channeled messages. Also, too, from the higher guides, I will say, and the Akashic Records, you could program the deck to give you those answers. That's what I do. Okay, let's see what we have here for you, friends. Yes. Okay, here we go. We're getting some really good points here. So the first card that's coming out is Surrender. Fall into my arms. That is spirit, quite frankly, saying, let go, trust the process. Not always easy when you're moving through these things and trying to find your next steps. It also says holding the opposite extremes of life. So this is a time of big transformation. Sacred masculine, sacred feminine coming together, trying to balance those two polarities in a way that's complementary to your well-being and your life. And then finally, we have the other confirmation, which is the Andromedan energy. Adventure, say yes to change, jump in. That's pretty powerful. I do really sense for you that you being on your path is really important to you, that it's paramount. It's a priority. I can hear that. And so as you're making these changes, no, you don't have to throw everything out. You're not being asked to give up everything. That's from another lifetime. That is not for now. That might have been when you took vows of poverty or commitment only to do things, for your spiritual practice and to give up everything else. I'm feeling that in this collective. So that's a past life karmic energy that you do not have to work with, and is not necessarily something that is going to be for your best and highest good. Okay, let's get the final cards and then we'll come to a close. Let me know in the comments if you've enjoyed this reading. I have really enjoyed doing it for you. I am so excited to meet so many of you that are coming into my world and onto my channel. I'm so excited. So be sure to come back and see me, like and subscribe and share. Join us on our Friday night live stream. This is really interesting because we are getting, first of all, two powerful things. We're getting the golden children, inner child, tenderness, innocence, rare gifts. So that for me is healing one's inner child, but also realizing when we do that healing work on the inner child, that transcends into moving through in our lives, helping us get clarity and balance on our next steps. That's a big piece of that. Also, the archway for me is always like a place of moving to more of a higher dimension, possibly the Akashic Records or a portal of energy you're moving through, which is really powerful. And then finally, we have this sacred masculine, the Star Brothers, Horus energy. Protection, loyalty, safety, trust. For me, this feels like a protector guide. For you, you can probably recognize that. It might even be an animal guide coming through, just showing you that as you're passing through this passageway, getting to your next step, you are protected and divinely guided. All right, friends, thanks again, and we'll see you in the next reading.